Deloitte are one of the big accountancy firms. They do regular business surveys, very authoritative. And guess what? 75% of CFOs, what's a CFO? It's a chief financial officer, do feel that the economic outlook is improving. It's partly because they feel inflation has peaked. It's partly because they feel interest rates will be coming down soon. It's partly because there's sort of less political chaos. Of course, there is quite a lot. It's partly also because the war in Ukraine, even though it goes on, isn't in the headlines all the time. And there's a sense that financial markets aren't as kind of fragile as they were a month ago. A key thing, though, Bev, is that Deloitte, they survey CFOs who are from big companies.
Yeah.
You know, if you run a pub or a chain of restaurants, you haven't got a CFO because you're chief cook and bottle washer, as my mum
How many
would
pubs
say.
have shut already? You did it with us last week. It's 150.
Yeah, we're getting 151 pubs on average closing a month so far this year. It's
absolutely British way of life.
Absolutely outrageous.
And a lot of that is to do with the energy costs, Liam.
It is to do with the energy costs, wage costs, the price of beer, pubcos, frankly, turning the screw on landlords, charging them more for beer, keeping their margins. So I think there's a big divide emerging now between big business bosses who are surveyed by ritzy-ditzy companies like Deloitte and how small businesses, who after all employ 2/3 of us, generate over half our GDP, half our growth, where a lot of innovation happens, the people who keep Britain running, smaller companies are much, much more pessimistic. And this is the concern. That this is good news. That's why I wanted to come on and talk to you about it. You know, it's good news like the fact that when those IMF surveys came out last week, you won't have heard this anywhere else. You'll have heard that the forecast for Britain was low, the lowest in the G7. Who told you that last year, actually, the UK grew faster than any other G7 economy?
You.
Yeah.
You did.
It wasn't on the telly, right?
Yeah, but the IMF has never forgiven Britain for Brexit, of course, has it?
I think there is that. I think there's also the fact that...
they interfered during the referendum.
It's also the fact that most of our broadcasters and a lot of our print journalists too, they're just going to alight on... They want to get the UK and the worst in the top headline, right?
Let's talk down Britain.
Where you could have done UK the best. Now, part of the 2022 growth, we grew by 4%, was a bounce back from COVID. But actually, most of our bounce back from COVID happened in 2021. So one other thing I wanted to put on your radar, guys, on Wednesday, there's an inflation number coming out, and it's going to be a really big
Because it went up last time, didn't it?
That's right.
Unexpected.
Inflation fell from October, November, December, January, and in January we were at 10.1, and a lot of people, me included, thought, yeah, inflation's going to go below double digits. That means hopefully no more interest rate rises. People can start looking forward to interest rate falls, get a bit of mojo back. But then inflation went up in February. Big shock. This March number that comes out on Wednesday, if it's up again, you're going to get a lot of nervousness. Has Britain really got its arms around this inflation problem? Or do we need even more drastic action and even more interest rate rises?
And these figures never leak, Liam.
No, they never leak because they're so market sensitive. But if inflation comes down firmly into double digits, 9.4, 9.5, something like that, then the economic mood will lift palpably. And there will be a sea change. The housing market will pick up because a lot of people will feel, that means interest rates have peaked. The next move in interest rates, maybe even by the end of the year, will be down and everything will be transformed turning on a sixpence.
And saying to junior doctors after 35%, hang on, inflation's falling.
It will affect all of politics. You know me, Andrew, we've talked about this for 20 years. Economics always wins. Economics determines politics. It determines the whole mood of the news headlines. Obviously, there's foreign news as well, but often foreign news is driven by...
Do you think the Prime Minister and the Chancellor get even a minute's notice about the inflation figures? That's what I thought.
No.
Incredible, isn't it?